Good morning, it's March 22nd. This is to my liberal friends. If the public is looking for reasons to vote for Donald Trump in November, they only have to look at the policies the Biden administration keeps putting before them. You don't like his open borders policies? Then don't vote for Joe Biden. If you don't like his policy in the Middle East, either way, don't vote for Joe Biden. If you don't like his tax and spend policies, don't vote for Joe Biden. But now we have yet another one that will affect most Americans down the road. Now, it's no secret that the Biden administration is chock full of environmental activists. It has become one of the major themes of this administration. The so-called Inflation Reduction Act had nothing to do with inflation, but was in fact a climate change bill. Why not call it something akin to what it really was? The latest salvo fired by Joe Biden and his policy wonks is an attempt to force you out of your gas-powered vehicle into an electric vehicle. Now, they don't care if you don't want an EV or they would make your life difficult in charging an EV. They're going to try and force you to buy one. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency unveiled new regulations Wednesday aimed at curbing tailpipe emissions in what officials acknowledge is a bold move to reduce harmful pollution by as much as 7.2 billion metric tons through the duration of the program. Now, if you live in an older neighborhood where you might not have a garage, you have no choice than to find a commercial charging station and wait in line to charge your car. I know in the neighborhood I grew up, nobody had a garage. And are you going to run a cord out across the sidewalk into your car? That cord will be gone in the morning. And if you're on a long trip, be prepared to build a few more hours as you have to stop and recharge the vehicle. And remember, if you're driving in the winter during cold temperatures, those EPA estimated ranges will plummet because the cold weather slows the chemical and physical reactions that make the batteries work. In addition, running the heater to keep you warm drains the battery as well. And if the temperature drops below 20 degrees, that range you would expect for your car really drops. They found that out in Chicago and Maine this winter with bad weather, and in Maine, they dropped that EV mandate they were trying to push through. I want to get it out there that I think we should continue to develop new and better technologies for electric-powered vehicles. Science might eventually get them to where they have extended ranges and are the preferred choice in a new car purchase. But I would like the marketplace to make that decision, not some government bureaucrat sitting in an office somewhere. I recently built a new home here in St. George, Utah. I put 2 outlets for electric car charging in the garage. I don't have an EV at this time, but either myself or some future owner of the house might have one and needs a charging port. But that would be our decision, not the government's. Now, I make the trip to Provo, Utah on a regular basis to watch football and basketball games. The distance is about 265 miles, and that would be pushing most EVs, particularly in the winter. And that means I have to schedule a stop along the way. The cost of charging at commercial charging keeps rising. It costs between $20 and $30. I can fill my car up and drive about 500 miles on a tank of gas, and that costs me about between $50 and $60. And I can make the trip to Provo and back without refueling, but what I do is simply refuel before heading home. Then I have half a tank when I get home, but the cost is really not significantly different. In a report from Investopedia, they make the following points. That there's wide variation in electrical power costs. Commercial charger rates are often double or triple those of residential rates. Even commercial charger rates can vary more than 50% within the same network. In comparison, gas prices vary by about 10% or less. Charger and battery varieties. Charging speed varies with the type of charger, level of charge in the battery, temperature, and the working status of the charger. And this can take the time to charge your battery very considerably as well. And pricing. Pricing at commercial chargers is often not directly comparable because they're a different pricing system. These typically involve some combination of per kilowatt hour, per unit time, per session cost. And this produces charging costs that vary considerably when calculated on a per kilowatt basis. But none of this matters to Biden and his climate activists. They expect their new rules on tailpipe emissions to force 50% of the cars sold in 2030 to be EVs. Now, it doesn't matter to them that the demand for EVs is not there. The government tends to force that demand by regulation. It does not matter that the cost of EVs are significantly higher than gas-powered cars. The government's going to simply tell you, too bad, you have to buy one. Well, Senator Shelley Capito from West Virginia said it best, quoting her, "Their regulations represent yet another step towards an unrealistic transition to electric vehicles that Americans do not want and cannot afford." End quote. And I've not mentioned the trucks that keep our economy going. They're for the most part diesel, and they are forced to go to EV. You can expect the cost of shipping goods to rise, and that means you will pay more in the store. Simple economics. and I'm sure you want to pay more for your groceries. Once again, if you don't like these new government regulations, then don't vote for Joe Biden. It's been To My Liberal Friends. Thanks for listening.